Alright, what's going on, guys? Try back again. Here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video talking about who I think is the toughest survivor as of this point in the Walking Dead television series. Okay, so as of this point right now, The Walking Dead Season 4, starting Episode 5, end of Episode 4 from Season 4, who is the toughest survivor up until this point? So, out of all the characters we've seen so far in the series, who is the toughest, or the one you at least want to be in a one-on-one type of confrontation in zombie apocalypse with? Well, this is a tough one, I think, because there are so many different characters we've met. And all of them have evolved, over time in a zombie apocalypse. So, for example, how they were in Season 1 at the beginning, or how they were before in their previous, lives before all this happened, is a completely different place to where they're in right now in a zombie apocalypse. So right off the bat, I think you can eliminate Shane, obviously, from this list because he lost. So he does, he's not going to be here, taken into consideration. Any other characters pretty much that have died so far, unless it was not, well, Merle was pretty tough. I'd have to give him that. He did take down 8 of the governor's men, and he did it all by himself. So that was pretty tough. So he's got to be considered as one of the toughest, even though he did die. I would think so. Although he is kind of a loose cannon, and that, anger, aggression, and all those kinds of characteristics that he did have ended up getting him killed, even though he was a tough SOB. So there's him. There's Morgan, still out there somewhere. I think Morgan has to be taken into consideration when you're talking about the toughest characters in The Walking Dead. He's definitely one of them, surviving so long by himself on his own, without really the need of anyone else there, and amassing so much artillery, so many weapons, his own little home base, so to speak. All these things, he's done them all by himself. So that's really tough. That said, he did kind of get taken down by Carl, Michonne, and Rick, the three of them, 3-on-1. So, 3-on-1 is not easy anyway, no matter what, even if you're on home territory. So I think he's up there too. So Morgan as well. Obviously, Rick has to be up there as well. Rick is really tough and been through a lot as a character, and really good with guns, really good with knives and axes and things like that, and been able to survive. So he's got to be right up there too. And then, of course, there's Michonne. Michonne's really tough as nails. We don't know how good she is with a gun, but in the TV series, but we know she's obviously killer with her sword. That said, she did almost get taken out early Season 4, so that does affect our opinion a little bit, I would say. So there's her. Let's see who else we got. We got Tyreese. He's really tough, but he's not good with guns, so he's not that good against other survivors. And he did sort of, he kind of took Rick down, and he sucker punched Rick, so then Rick came back at him, but there was others involved there. It wasn't exactly a fair, fight, and they didn't know it was going to happen. So, yeah, but his lack of ability with guns, I think, would take away from that. Like, put him against Merle. What would happen there? He would get taken down pretty quickly. Plus, he's hot-headed, he's angry, and he's a big target. He's a moving, he's kind of slow, I think, personally. Even though he was able to take down all those walkers and get away from that herd with his hammer and all that, and he's fun to watch kill walkers. But I don't think I would say he's the toughest. I don't think I would say he's one of the toughest. So I think those are your top 7, I would have to say, that you would have to take into consideration. Did I mention Daryl? 8. Okay, so Daryl, yeah. Oh man, he's so tough. The whole getting in Bob's face and everything like that. Being the leader for their team to go out and get supplies and get things. His ability with his crossbow and knives, and just his wiriness, and he's a tough dude. The other characters at the prison kind of worship him. For how tough he is. He's helped out Rick so many times, and he's a character that's progressed. even physically. In Season 1, I think Norman Reedus has been hitting the weights, because in Season 1 he wasn't that big, and now he's getting pretty big. Like, I don't know how big his arms are or anything, but probably about, I'd say maybe 14 inches probably, so he's filling out pretty good for the series, which is good to see. Cool to see that because he fits more in character. And I mean, that was a pretty badass scene when he got in Bob's face last episode, I'd have to say. Bob, no, he wouldn't be in consideration. So those are the top ones, I think. Was that 8? Out of all of them, I mean, that's a tough question to answer. I think you're out of all of those, Rick, Merle, Morgan, and Daryl would probably be your top. Michonne, I don't think so. Tyreese, no, I don't think so. Glenn, no, he wouldn't really be in there either. He's pretty tough, but not compared to these others. If you were in a one-on-one confrontation, Merle against Morgan, Rick, and, Merle against Morgan, let's say Rick against Daryl. Oh, man, at this point, I don't know who I would have to go with out of those 4 and who I think's the toughest. Merle, he's kind of a little too crazy, so I think that would work against it. He's not as logical. So I think you could kind of eliminate him, even though he's really close, really tough. Morgan, yeah, he's really tough, but again, he did get taken down by those 3, and he didn't... I don't know if Rick would have been taken down by 3 random people, or if Daryl would have been taken down by 3 random people, so I'd kind of eliminate those 2. So I think it comes down to, when you're talking about the toughest survivor, Rick and Daryl. At this point in the series, that's a tough one, but I think with the crossbow, the revolver, that's a tough one. Rick and Daryl, oh man. I think at this point, right now at least, I'm going to have to go with Daryl. I think so. I think he's better at killing walkers than Rick by a little bit. He's been in less trouble throughout the series than Rick has, right? He has lost, but his mind is more straight, I think, at this point. Rick's made some decisions, kicking Carol out and stuff like that. You have to question how with it he still is. And also, Daryl's got some crazy skills with the crossbow and the other weapons that he uses. So even though Rick is really tough, I think I'd have to go with Daryl as the toughest survivor in the series up until this point, which is good because then we'll see him survive for a really long time. And I think I'd put Rick at number 2 right now. But I think I could understand if somebody went the other way and they said, no, Rick's got to be tougher than Daryl, no question. I think at the beginning he was. The beginning of the series he was. But I think Daryl has evolved to a point now in the TV series where he's tougher than Rick, I would have to say. In a one-on-one anyway. But Rick may be a better leader. Although recently that as well would be questioned. So anyway, those are my thoughts on who I think is the toughest survivor in the Walking Dead television series. At this point, I think it's Daryl. Let me know who you guys think it is. And if you agree with others, thumb it up. If you disagree, thumb it down. Let's talk about it. Feel free to thumb up the video if you guys like, if you agree with me, if you enjoy it. And favorite it if you want to help support the channel. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll call it here. That's it for this video. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Daryl's the toughest.